And welcome back, guys, to Sitting Courtside, episode 52. Dang, I feel like we took a whole lap around the earth.
We made it, Jerry. Who would have thought?
And like Dante just told you guys, it's your boy Jerry D.
I spoiled it. No one knew what your name was. And my name is Dante. Like the first 51 episodes. Happy 1 year, Jerry. Happy 1 year to us.
It's our anniversary, man.
It is.
This is an important milestone. I wish I would have wore like a little birthday hat or something.
I wish I dressed up a little bit. Showed up in a suit and tie.
Maybe next week. It could be like a breakaway suit because I don't want to do this.
I feel. Yeah, just take it right out, get more comfortable.
Right. Anyway, guys, of course, we are back with another action-packed week. Not really, it's the off-season, but we have another set of our report cards.
We're getting closer, Jerry. We're getting closer to the start.
We are like a month away, basically.
Every week that goes by, the closer we're getting. So.
Yep. Hey, we're getting football back, though, which is amazing.
Big week for fantasy football drafts. That's all I'm saying. Huge week.
So, obviously, guys, we are going to kick things off. But first, some breaking news that came out earlier this morning on August 29th, Thursday. Steph Curry signed a 1-year extension for $62 million. Just some fun facts for people that may not know. That's more than Magic Johnson's career earnings in just one season. That's more than probably Michael Jordan's career earnings.
That's crazy.
It's $3 million less than Christian McCaffrey's career earnings for our fantasy football nerds, which is the best running back in the league. So, Dante, your reaction to what this means for the Warriors, what this means for Steph Curry moving forward?
NBA money is different, bro. That's why I gotta say. Listen, the Warriors, Steph Curry is the greatest player to ever put on a Warriors jersey. I think we know that. He's number one in almost every statistical category for that team. They did what they had to do. We've talked about whether we believe he's on his way out, if he'll decide, he wants out of Golden State, they're not competing, he wants a chance to win, blah, blah, blah. Golden State's doing everything they can to keep him happy, money-wise. They gave him the max that they could, almost $63 million a year. That makes me want to throw up in my mouth. But hey, Steph, he deserves it for what it's worth. I think it's, get the money, do what you can. And I don't know if that changes my stance on whether I believe he will retire a Golden State Warrior, but I believe that this is step one of putting the right foot forward to keeping him around the rest of his career. So that's what I think.
Of course, I'm right there along the same lines with you. I'm going to throw this out there just to piss some people off, but also a lot of people probably agree. I feel like Steph is in his first Cleveland stint of LeBron era, to where, not obviously in terms of age, but really to where he's the one-man sheer force of just dominant greatness.
Right.
That's going to make or break if the Warriors make the postseason or not. And obviously, nothing was really as bad as that Cavs team that we saw go to the finals in 2007. We're talking like Ira Newell and Sasha Peklovich or whatever. Like, it was garbage. It was garbage they had thrown out there. Steph still has a lot more help, but this is probably one of the worst teams that he's been a part of, which is kind of like...
It's going to end up being up there. It has potential too, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking in my head right now, if the Warriors don't somehow figure out how to add talent to the roster, already off of this offseason, I'm thinking that Steph just went up to management. Go get me a star or give me max dollars for a season. They couldn't get a star.
Or both.
Yeah. It's very weird what's going on if you are Steph Curry. I feel like you're in this
weird spot right now. Weird limbo. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are we winning or because I can't really in my head right now? We talked about it. I don't know if the Warriors are going to make the postseason.
We're talking about whether or not. Yeah, it's not even a matter of are they championship contenders. It's a matter of if they're postseason contenders. I don't know. It's going to be tough. A lot of good teams out west, like we've talked about before. It's going to be hard for the Warriors to break through and, just make the postseason in general. And then it's going to be, do they have enough juice to make a finals run?
Yeah.
With this roster currently put together, I'm going to say no. I'm going to safely say no. But, Steph Curry is one of the greatest players of all time. So we can't doubt his talent. We can doubt the talent around him. We can't doubt his talent. So we'll just we'll see how it plays out. And for the Warriors' sake, they're a good team, and they don't really have to worry too much. But it's still a situation to keep an eye on, even though he got this extension for sure.
And with this extension, just to read off this quick stat to you, there are now 15 active players making over $400 million in their careers. Number one is LeBron James at $583 million, and Steph is now a strong number two at $535 million.
And that's just playing money. That's not even like endorsements,
Nope.
sponsor, nothing. That is, hey, kudos to them. Get the bag, get your money. If it was me, I'd be doing the same thing. But unfortunately, I don't have that basketball gene in me, so I can't. So take advantage of it.
Hey, you and 98% of the world. So it's all good. We're right there with you, baby.
Can't believe my 5'9" ass didn't make it to the league.
But we're talking about the Warriors potentially being a bad team. Today, most of our report cards here are about some potentially bad teams.
Yeah, we had to scrape the bottom of the barrel this week, guys. Sorry, but we have to cover every team. So,
fortunately for our guys here and our gals, if you're watching, we're starting out with probably the most interesting out of the teams. Yes. And if you would be so kind to kick us off here, Dante.
Jerry, I would be privileged and honored to do that. So the first team that we have this week, we're actually doing two things where we cut it down a little bit because, again, we're at bottom of the barrel teams. Like, there's only so much these teams can do, so we're kind of condensing it a little bit. So two things that the Spurs need to do to contend this year. Number one, Victor Wemabanyama takes that MVP leap. This team goes as far as Wemby takes them. I know it's his second year in the league, and the expectations for him already are starting to, become sky high. Because, the Spurs are not a guaranteed playoff team this year. They're not. But they made some moves this offseason that I believe can help them. But again, it just all revolves around Wemby. We're talking about him being in the MVP conversation, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, All NBA. Like, we're really expecting Wemby to take such a huge leap this year. And if he does that and he is in those conversations, I believe that the Spurs could be in line for a playoff berth, could compete for a last playoff spot. And then the other one I have is Chris Paul. He leads another bottom tier team to the playoffs. We've talked about how good Chris Paul is. And we did a game last week. We did Mount Rushmore point guards, and you include Chris Paul because his ability to turn shit teams into good teams. Look what he did in the Thunder a few years ago. Went to a team that was bottom of the barrel, bottom of the Western Conference, and led them to a playoff.
Had a 0.02% chance to make it to the postseason.
And that's the other thing, the crazy thing I was going to mention is how people didn't expect them to do anything. Like, not even a Thunder fan. So the fact that he did what he did for that team, insane.
As a 5 seed.
Dude, they were actually like good that year. It's not even like they just barely made the playoffs. Like they were comfortably in the playoffs. I know he's older now. That was a few years ago. He's 38, 39 now, so he's aged a little bit, but he ages like fine wine. I think that if anyone can do it, has the ability to do it, it's still Chris Paul. Him and Wemby could be an insane duo. We'll wait and see, but led by Greg Popovich too. I think him and Chris Paul can put their high IQs together, and maybe they can make something happen. But I do think that this team goes as far as Wemby takes them, and Chris Paul as well. So it all revolves around them.
Yeah, no, those are two really strong, solid points that I happen to agree with. No surprise there. I mean, we look at Wemby, we could already probably call him a top 10 player in the league. Like,
I don't think it's crazy. Crazy.
Like, I'm not saying he is, but
look at him.
What
he can do, like, it's hard.
Hey, 22 a game, 10 boards, 3 blocks, 2 steals.
Can shoot threes. Yeah,
can shoot threes. Can dribble the ball up the floor himself. Like, we've never seen anything like this. And I watched this Jimmy High Roller video. Shout out to him. He doesn't need the shout out from me. He has millions of YouTube subscribers and whatnot. But he did say, he gave his hot take in one of these videos where he said that he would take Wemabanyama after his first year over any other player in NBA history after their first year. That includes Michael Jordan. That includes LeBron. That includes, anybody that you want to throw in that bracket. Like,
sure.
And I could see why. Because just based off of this first year of his rookie season alone, it really is like, damn. this is his first season, and he's already adjusted to the game somewhat to be this demigod of a player that can impact the game literally on every single facet. He's already a 3-level scorer. He's
Right.
already an elite defender. That's literally what we look for.
He has something that you can't teach, and that's also his
Exactly.
7'3", 7'4" frame. So
I,
that
I
definitely
know
benefits him.
I know MJ gave us 28 a game in his rookie season. I know LeBron had 27 and 7, but Wemby's it's
He's
just
a
a little
different.
it's a little
He's cut
different.
from a different cloth for sure. Yeah, he's an
Mhm.
alien. You can say.
So that first point is rock solid. Second point, yeah, I love me some CP, man. Chris Paul, that is Chris Paul.
Oh.
Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul, man. That dude is
Yeah.
amazing. Like, and what he's able to do for these franchises, but mostly superstar players that he's played alongside, like James Harden or Devin Booker, who kind of help
Right.
unlock their games a little bit. But more importantly, what he does for another big, what he did for Tyson Chandler in New Orleans, what he did for David West as well, what he did
Right.
for Clint Capella, what he did for DeAndre Ayton. Imagine what he's gonna
He'll
do.
bring the best out of them. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So imagine what he could do with a guy that's more talented than everybody we just named.
Right. Yeah. It could be a very special duo. That could be a team that surprises us. It could be another Oklahoma City Thunder situation where they go from one of the
Hey,
worst teams in the West to middle of the pack in playoffs. Who
they
knows?
got Devin Vassell, they got Harrison Barnes, they got Keldon Johnson,
They do have
Sohan.
Harrison Barnes. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's a nice group of young talent and some vets coming. So let's be careful for the Spurs, man. If he wasn't going to the Lakers, I wanted him to go to the Spurs. So
Yeah.
kind of glad he ended up there. A plus for
Good spot.
Dante for this first one. All right.
Thank you. On to you, Jerry.
Unfortunately, we
I
we
think
have
we
the
can say
Detroit.
that for I think we can say that for a good amount of these teams.
Yeah, we got to talk about the Detroit Pistons. When we talk about two ways for them to contend, we're talking about not contending for a title. We're talking about contending for playoff spots. We're talking about contending to just be relevant.
Contending to not be the worst team in the league.
Yes. And that's when we talk about the Pistons, that's what's important.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So, I have three things, but we'll merge them into two. Number one is find an identity. Because even for a young team, I think it's still important to kind of at least have some bit of a clue into what somebody could become. Like covering the Hornets, I know that we're a run and gun offense, that pushing the ball in transitions, which is the case for most young teams, is going to be the most success or how we could generate the most points on offense.
Right.
And then get back on defense. Like, I look at Detroit and I don't know what I'm looking at. And I'm a little confused. And I'm going to merge three into one here. I think that has to start with Cade Cunningham. Having
the center of all of it.
This great, like, number one pick a few years back, right? He missed the season due to an injury, but he kind of came back strong, played 60-plus games. Like, you're the guy that has to set the tone. I know there's Jaden Ivey. I know there's Jalen Duren and whatnot and all these different young pieces, but set the tone. Like, you wanna be the guy. You want us to talk about you like one of these relevant number one picks, like an Anthony Edwards or Apollo the last few years. Step up, show us that you're all on these guys' level because hey, they're not that much older than you. If you want to have a seat at the table, be in the face of the league, that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Secondly, establish these veteran roles ASAP because I don't love Tobias Harris being in Detroit. I don't love Evan Fournier.
I'm sure Pistons fans don't love him being in Detroit either.
No, not at all. Evan Fournier being in Detroit. And Tim Hardaway Jr., like these are three guys that I know despite what the type of season Tobias Harris had in Philly last year, he could be on a playoff contender. He's another guy that could have ended up in San Antonio and potentially had a solid impact. Evan Fournier could be a shooter somewhere. Tim Hardaway
Jr. was just in the finals.
Yeah, so I don't really love the offseason signings, but I get having good veterans in the locker room is important for young players. So I'm kind of hoping that, they're able to pass off some wisdom. So establish roles quickly, show that you can still play, maybe get traded, move midseason, or if you're going to be a building block for the team in the future. I just need to see it as soon as possible. But those are my two.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, the Detroit Pistons, like, what are they doing out in the East? It's like they're constantly at the bottom of the barrel. They're not getting number one picks. Cade Cunningham, of course, they got him, but like it seems like the last 2 years they've been the worst team or one of the worst teams and get stuck with the fifth pick. So it's like you need to start it also starts with the coaching too. It's like they're constantly
Yeah.
bringing in new coaches, letting them go. It's like
JB Bickerstaff there now.
you got to build consistency. You got to create an identity, a culture with the coach and stuff. So you got to lay off of firing guys, give them chances, and have the guy work with Kate and stuff like that, and figure out ways of how he can lead the team, create identity that way. Guys like Tobias Harris, Fournier, Tim Hardaway Jr., they're going to start the season in Detroit. They might not even make it to halfway through the season.
I hope not.
It's just like I get what they're doing. Like they need to bring in a mix of veterans so they can, have some sort of structure there. They can, rely on these veterans to score. If the young guys, they're going through growing pains, whatever. But yeah, there's we could probably have listed a few things that they need to do to become contenders. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That's kind of the structure. That's kind of the big ones right there.
Thinking about it now that you just kind of said it, maybe these three guys, the three veterans that they did sign, could have been one of those agreements where it's like, hey, play yourself up, play well enough, we can move you. We
Get value up, and we can, because I mean, hey, if Tobias Harris plays well, I know he's making $26 million, plays well, there might be a contender or a fringe team that's like, hey, we'll give you a pick for him or whatever. And for the Pistons, it's like, what do we got to lose? So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah. We will see what happens over in Detroit. The next team I have staying in the East is the Toronto Raptors. The two steps I have here, or the two points I have here are, first one, massive steps taken from Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. They traded for RJ and Quickley, trading away OG to the Knicks. It's just they have three young guys that it seems to be that they're going to be building around. Scotty and Quickley both got extensions. I think it's just a matter of, the Raptors go as far as those three can take them. They're young, but I think, they have a training camp together. They had a season under their belt. Now that they're going into the season together as a trio, the chemistry, well, you would hope that gets better. And those three surprise some people out in Toronto. I think they put it together. They can be a somewhat contending team, not a bottom of the barrel for the playoffs, but I think that they can be in that conversation.
Playing
Around there. And the last one I have is just be patient. Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's like you don't have to rush into contending. You got rid of your two all-star players, OG and Siakam. I don't think you should have crazy expectations of making it back to the playoffs. I think you build around these young guys. You gave them their money, so you obviously have long-term plans with them. I'd say just ride it out, see what happens this year, and hope that they all improve and the team just naturally gets better as time goes on. Nothing really crazy for them. I'd say just those are my two things. Just be patient with the three young guys you got.
Yeah, I mean, everything starts and stops with your best players on your roster anyway, and they happen to be three very young guys. Like I just looked it up. Scotty Barnes is 23 years old. So,
he's going to have a lot of responsibility for 23.
He's going to be there.
They trust him.
Yeah, like I'm looking at Scotty Barnes like this Kawhi, this PG, this Jimmy Butler mold where you came in just a really good defender at first. Kind of trying to figure out the offensive side of the game. And, he put up 20 points last year. So it's time for him to take that massive step ahead. I agree that this should be their three-headed monster. They got Jakob Poeltl too. So
yes. Yep.
Everything for them, it looks like it is trending in the right direction, just like what you said about the Pistons situation with coaching, firing guys left and right. Also got to see, I hope that I can't pronounce his name. So I'm not even going to try, but let's just leave him in place. Kind of hope that everything, assimilates the way that it needs to. And yeah, that all just goes with being patient again. Every young team deserves a chance to at least grow, especially if there's something there.
Right. And they're all in the same age bracket and stuff. So you might as well have them grow, figure it out together. And after a few years, if it doesn't work, then you go from there. But you got to give them some time.
Yeah. And then, you're having a second year head coach now, entering year two. He had a lot of sound bites last year where he was fiery too. So it's like, all right, I know that he's going to get into these guys and make sure that they know, hey, man, we gotta be better for our coach because, hey, they're always on the hot seat. So, I encourage every young team to follow the Orlando Magic blueprint. They gave Jamal Mosley plenty of time. to figure this thing out. So,
and they're in a good spot now. So,
playoff team, and they're probably going to be one of the better teams in the East over the next few years.
Absolutely.
Works out. All right. Staying in the East again here. I did this intentionally, obviously. I had to take the Charlotte Hornets in.
Of course. I figured you would.
Talk about them in this regard. Point number one, I'm sure every Buzz City fan knows this well. Health is indeed wealth.
That's very important.
It has not been an easy last few seasons. We've seen Gordon Hayward out for a multitude of time when he was here. We've seen LaMelo Ball miss a lot of time, including last year when he played in 22 games, which is terrible for your franchise player.
Not good.
Mark Williams, franchise center, franchise cornerstone, played in 19 games.
Even worse.
Year. So it was definitely the Brandon Miller show pretty much predominantly most of the year. Miles Bridges missed the first 30 games due to suspension.
Yes,
so, hey.
He did. That's a lot going on.
Let's all just try to stay healthy here in Charlotte, Stay away from, all these different off-court distractions like, hey, domestic violence is crazy, and Miles is not right for doing that. That sucks. James Bouknight a few years ago had a DUI, got caught sleeping in a car with a gun, and it's just, guys.
Can't do, stop.
Please.
Don't be fucking idiots.
I don't know what's in the water out here, but whatever it is, I don't want to drink it. So.
No, I'm staying away from the Charlotte water.
Let's just, try to stay healthy, stay out of trouble is definitely point number one. We have something nice in place, which brings me to point number two. LaMelo makes second All-Star game, and Brandon Miller has to take a similar kind of leap, an All-Star level kind of leap. LaMelo was a one-time All-Star, and be it a replacement or not, his name got called.
He was an All-Star. At the end of the day, I'll say All-Star in his resume. So
he got to suit up in Cleveland to go play in that big game, his first one at 21 or whatever it was. So hey, super young, signed a max extension a couple years back. The dude's talented. There's no denying that. Now he has to show us that he's committed to winning. As for Brandon Miller, this guy has the potential to lead the team in scoring this upcoming season. I know there's not a whole bunch of talent on there.
He averaged 16 last year, 17?
16.9, right? Just a hair under 17 or something like that. So the versatility is there. The Paul George mold is there. His favorite player to actually become and blossom into your own in a smaller market franchise, just like how Paul George did in Indiana. Except this team has the potential to be better than those Indiana squads if it grows properly in the right way, because those are the two cornerstones, the two faces. Miles Bridges is no scrub. Mark Williams could be a good defender at the rim. We drafted Tajon Salon. I know I'm butchering his name probably, but I'm interested to see where that kind of goes. There's a few nice young pieces. Seth Curry came back to the squad. Taj Gibson signed. There's promise. There's hope. In order to fulfill those things, you got to stay healthy in order to reach all those other goals. So I'm calling a play-in kind of team. We won 21 games last year. I think this year we should get into the 30s. I'm not saying we make the playoffs, but winning 32 to 35 games is a successful season and taking a step in the right direction. So
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, that it can be said about a lot of teams. Health is the most important thing. Off court issues. It's hard to kind of get a pulse on what this team can be and what they can be when the players are all over the place. One of them's getting arrested. One of them's injured. It's when you can't stay on the court together for whatever reason, it's hard to figure out what you have here. Yep. So you need everyone on the floor. You need everyone to stay out of trouble, stay healthy, and you can figure out who works, what works, what doesn't work, all that. And it starts with LaMelo and Brandon Miller. LaMelo just needs to stay healthy, and Brandon Miller had a really good rookie season. Granted, to be said that he had a really good rookie season with all that stuff going on around him. So he was really able to take advantage of more shots and stuff like that, and really had more. He was one of the leaders, one of the best players because he had to be last year. So, that could really help his development. But how is he going to go into next season when everyone is healthy? How is he going to play next to LaMelo? How is his shot selection or, just amount of shots he takes in general? How is that going to be affected?
First year head coach too, with your boy Charles Lee. So
new head coach. So there's Charlotte. They have a few things going on there, but if everything goes right health wise and everyone's able to just stay on the floor, I think that they can figure something out. I think they have a really talented young squad. again, they just have to
Yeah.
stay on the floor. So
Plus just to throw in this last tidbit, man, we got your glue guy. We got Grant Williams in the building, man.
oh
Charlotte
yeah,
native.
yeah. Is he from
Wemabanyama.
Charlotte? I didn't know he was Charlotte native. That's
He went
actually
to
cool.
school right down the street from where I stay.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he's definitely going to be the difference maker there. But no, he's not a bad player. I like Grant. But yeah, I agree. Okay, next team. Man, this is beautiful. I get the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, so 2 reasons. Number one, nothing. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing. There's nothing they can do. They're in just such a weird, fucked up. The people that run the team suck. GMs suck. Coaches suck.
Yeah.
Players suck.
Right.
It's just, man, they have. It's
Kobe
a shit
White's
show over in Chicago. Kobe White's nice. It's a shit show right now. They got Josh Giddey. That's cool. But like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chicago fans. There's just no hope. I really just don't think there's anything worth looking forward to.
Contend for a draft pick.
My second point, yeah, I guess. My next point is actually, you would say that this goes away from them contending. I have get Levine and Vucevic out of Chicago because I think actually just saving their seasons and the rest of their careers by getting them out is doing them a favor. And I think that by getting them out of Chicago, you're jump starting and you're getting going with a rebuild or a retool that you should have done years ago. So for your sake, if you hold on to Levine or Vucevic or one of the two, you're constantly giving your fans something to hold on to. You're giving them some sort of faith, which is unfair to the hardworking fans that pay their hard-earned money to go to these games and stuff. At least be honest with them. Be like, hey, we're going to suck this year. We're not going to keep around these guys to make you think we're going to be good because we're really not. So you're better off, even if it's for a box of Chips Ahoy cookies, you might as well still get rid of them so you can work with the young guys that you have and build some sort of culture, some sort of structure. As long as Levine and Vucevic are there, DeRozan was smart. He got out. As long as these two guys are here, they're not going to be able to accomplish that. They're just going to be a team that's going to be like right below right below the play-in tournament, but they really you think, oh, they can make it this year, but they're not going to. So yeah, I hope I don't want to offend anyone, but the Bulls just awful organization, terribly run.
Oh,
yeah, if I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, just boycott the season. It's terrible. Terrible. That's all I got to say. I don't have anything good to say. I'll admit to it. So.
Hey, look, like I said, we're talking about
contending. Worse, so
yeah, we're talking about contending. You don't necessarily have to be contending for a championship or a playoff spot. You could contend to be shit. And
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what they
tank
need.
For flag. No, genuine tank for Cooper Flag.
You mentioned how poorly ran this organization was. They traded away their all NBA caliber defender and got no first round picks back.
Nothing.
They traded away DeMar DeRozan in a sign and trade and got no first round picks.
Nothing.
So
they're gonna do the same thing for Levine and Vucevic if that does end up happening.
And you know what? They deserve. Jerry deserves whatever. Whatever. I agree. I don't really have much nice to say. The only positive thing I can say about Chicago is that I'm happy that Lonzo Ball possibly be suiting up to play basketball again.
that is the best thing that could happen to them next year is that story of Lonzo coming back. But he ain't gonna do anything there. Sorry. Unfortunately, he's not gonna be their saving grace. So
I'm sorry, Bulls fans, but that's literally the only thing I want to see is Lonzo Ball. So yeah.
Sorry,
okay, we're done. We're done with the Bulls. Let's
move on.
Love Michael Jordan though. Okay.
Love
next year, we have the Trailblazers, another, to go out west here. Another red and black team with not much promise here. It's
tough.
Point number one. I need to figure out who's a part of this core.
A lot of pieces, a lot of young guys.
Yeah, obviously it's I'm looking at Shaedon Sharpe as the guy. That's who I'm like, okay, we like you the most. We're going to make you the franchise player. He has the potential to do that. So, but everybody else, I feel like it's a lot of movers and shakers. Like Anthony Simons could be on the block.
I think I can see him getting moved at some point because he has good value. I think they could get a first round pick at least for him.
Yeah, and then same thing. Is Scoot Henderson going to be something? We still have to see. Like
He had a
it's
slow start to his rookie year. If they
yeah,
work with him, he could be good. But
there's just too many question marks to where I'm like, okay, who is a part of my young core? Like that's all I really want them to establish
right.
this season. And that leads me to point number 2. Please, for the love of God, I don't want to see DeAndre Ayton in a Portland Trailblazers jersey. I get he's 26. I get that he could be
That's crazy.
entering. Yeah, like he's so old, or like he's getting up there already. Like I don't know what the prime of his career is going to look like if he didn't hit it already in Phoenix. If he peaked early with CP,
Right.
but like you don't need to be there. I feel like Ayton could be somewhere else and actually contribute in a better way
And
because I
then
thought
they
he was going to
just
go to
got
Portland.
the guy from UConn, the center.
Donovan Clingan.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm not sold on what if they drafted him. That lets me know what they think about Ayton.
100%.
So
Yeah,
let's
he's
go ahead and do
expendable.
that. Like, I don't think they need to get to training camp and all that and still have those guys on roster because Ayton probably knows anyway. The writing's on the wall for me. They drafted another center.
Right.
So those are my 2. I'm gonna keep it very short and simple here. I don't know what's happening in Portland right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said in a video not too long ago, it was one of our games, it was ranking the best young cores in the league. And I actually listed the Blazers as one of them because I do have a good, solid group of young guys.
Yeah.
Scoot, Shaden, Anthony. They traded for Denny.
Yes, they did. I forgot about that.
They still have Ayton, the guy from UConn. Like, they have pieces.
Rob Williams
But
still good too.
Robert Williams, God bless him. Yeah, they have just a lot of young pieces, some guys in the same position. So it's like I think this is a year for them where I'm not as confident or as optimistic as you are, I guess, that they'll move on from Ayton that quickly. I definitely see this being like all right, let's have these guys go out there and we'll see who works with who and what doesn't work, and then we make our decisions there. I can see them making moves during the season. I can see them trading Anthony simply because of his value. I can see it. I think him and Ayton are the 2 guys that are most expendable that would get traded first. The question is, who even wants DeAndre Ayton? No offense to him, but it was kind of hard to get him out of Phoenix in the first place.
He picked it up late last
He
season.
did.
Started
He
playing
did.
well late.
But it's still one of those, like, is he going to be a difference maker? Is he someone that, like, moves the needle? Who knows? So I think this year will be one of those, we'll see what happens. Kind of like with the Rockets. It's like, we'll see who works with who, what doesn't work, and you make the adjustments after the season. But yeah, the Blazers, they're not in a terrible situation. They definitely could be in a worse situation. I mean, they have guys to work with. It's just a matter of making it work. So
For sure.
all right, next team I have, and it's probably the best team here on this list, is the Indiana Pacers. Completely, we left them out the first 2 weeks, whether it was intentional or not, but we left them out. So the team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals this past year, these are the 2 points I have for them to, I guess, remain contenders, because technically they were in contention for an NBA championship last year, even though they got swept. But Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam become a top-tier duo. They're the leaders of the team. Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam, both all-star caliber players. I think Siakam's a former champ, so he knows, what it takes to get it done. He's been on a handful of good teams throughout his career. I think now with a full off season together, they got they got some games under their belt last year, but I think going into the season, another year together, chemistry is better. I think they need to become a top tier duo to remain in that contention. And the second one I have is, unfortunately, some things need to go wrong out in the Eastern Conference, like they did this year. Like what the New York Knicks being injured and stuff, because if the Knicks weren't injured, if OG was playing, if Brunson was 100%, no offense, Pacers fans, but you would not have made it to the East Conference Finals. They also played the Bucks first round, who didn't have Giannis or Lillard. So, hey, listen, they made it to the East Conference Finals. They played who was in front of them, and they won and they got there. All credit to them. But if they went up against those teams healthy, I can't confidently say they would have made it as far. But regardless, I think if they want to, make a run again, and do all that, I really do think it comes down to what happens to the other teams out east and their schedule and who they'd have to play in the playoffs, all that stuff. I think they're a playoff team, 100%.
Yeah.
But how far they go in the postseason depends on a few factors out east. So those are my 2 points.
Yeah. I think point number one is I'm going to add to it. I don't necessarily disagree with it because, Tyrese is a young, budding superstar in the league, led the league in assists last year. Pascal just seems like this perfect complementary piece that could probably play alongside any all-star in the league right now today, honestly. But I'm going to put more onus and responsibility on the Ben Shepherds, on Benedict Mathurin, who didn't play, for a bulk of any of the postseason because he had the shoulder issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been a big difference maker in a lot, even the games against Boston. Like I know they lost terribly in that series, but there were some games that were close, including game one, which took a Jaylen Brown.
I mean, they had a few games where they were up late and the Celtics just ended up pulling it out. I mean, they were one Jaylen Brown corner three away from taking game one. So
yeah. I just think getting a step up from those role players and some of the young guys, like we didn't see a lot of Jarris Walker last year because Obi Toppin came in and played well. So that was kind of like whatever. But I think getting a lot of these young guys involved, them taking a step up, Miles Turner taking another step up this year as a 3-and-D center. I'm going to put more onus on those guys to step their game up because I know what to expect.
You know what you're getting out of Halliburton and Siakam. It's what you're getting out of the other pieces.
The other guys got to step up to actually make them scary. Yeah, but that's the thing going wrong in any conference. Just like the healthy thing or even being patient for a lot of these teams, I think that's kind of like a no-brainer. Like when you're not the favorites, like for like how the Pacers wouldn't be come out whenever the Eastern Conference Finals odds come out to go to the finals. I'm sure the Pacers will be in the probably
top 5,
fifth.
top 6,
maybe 5th or 6th, right? Because we're gonna take Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, New York as like the automatic 4.
Easy.
And we could argue about the 5th spot. Maybe it is the Pacers, but maybe it could be. I'm blanking on names. I don't know.
I'm blanking on Magic, Cleveland.
One of those 2 teams, or something like that. So
right.
A little bit of luck is always needed on your way to the journey. So best of luck to the Pacers. Sorry we forgot about you in the last 2 episodes.
It's just our apologies, but we got
small market.
We got you. Very, very small market.
But moving on here, going out west, but keeping it P though. See what I did there? Pretty clever. We're gonna talk some Pelicans here. I think the Pacers probably are the best team on this list today, but
Pelicans not too far behind. Not too far behind.
And point number one, and everybody can guess it. What's up with Zion? Like
keeping that brother a lot of weight. He's on that Ozempic diet. You know what I mean?
God, he definitely looks.
He's got something going on.
He looks like Duke Zion a little bit.
He says he's the lightest he's been since Duke days.
College, yeah. So I mean, it's everything literally rides on that man's shoulders. And thank God he lost some weight in those shoulders. So it's pretty much Zion or bust is how I look out their season. If he's healthy and able. Like last year when we saw them in the play-in game, he hung 40 on the Lakers. As a Lakers fan, I'm like, damn, we're about to lose. So
and we've seen in the past, like the Pelicans without DeJounte Murray have been as high up as a 1 seed when everyone's healthy. So he is genuinely the centerpiece. He is the glue. It all goes through him.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we talk about all these other number 1 picks. Like again, Paolo, Anthony Edwards, and these guys in the 2020s. Hey, man, that brother Zion he could still be just as good as these guys. Like, I think we're forgetting that he was this next LeBron, this dub next LeBron guy.
It is insane to me that he is going into his 6th year in the NBA.
Yeah, it's wild.
That hurts me.
It's pretty wild.
That hurts me. That really does. But I'm with you.
Yeah. Point number 2. DeJounte, like you mentioned him, DeJounte is a perfect complement to the others. I mean, we saw what Brandon Ingram has gave. It's clear to me that he does not know how to operate without the ball in his hands being a 1 or 2 option. He's not used to being this 3rd option. So I still don't even know what's going to happen with him. I could have added that as a point, but DeJounte Murray is a guy that I think has to kind of unlock everybody else. Take pressure off of CJ McCollum in the backcourt there. Help Zion get easier looks. I mean, hey, let's see what he is. I mean, they gave up very little to get him. They didn't have to give up Brandon Ingram somehow, which, if you're the Hawks, doesn't make any sense to me. But DeJounte and Zion are the big two for me. So
Yeah, I mean, everything begins with Zion. I mean, like we said, he was the number one pick. He was the guy that was supposed to come in and be the savior of this franchise and everything. And they have Ingram, they have DeJounte now, they have other pieces. But if he is out there healthy, they have a better chance of going far if Zion is healthy on the floor than not. So, and DeJounte Murray, I mean, they didn't have to trade a lot to get him, but it is a big investment for them. Big name player that could be the missing piece. Who knows? He could turn them into that team that people were hoping they would become after getting Zion, a true contender. So I think if DeJounte clicks with them and Zion continues to stay healthy and lose weight and use Ozempic and all that stuff, I think they have a fighting chance next year. But all right, so I'm moving on to one of the worst teams in the league. Well, we had to get to them at some point. The Washington Wizards.
woo!
My two. Yeah, everyone get excited. Everyone calm down. Everyone take a seat. The 2 points I have for them to be contenders is Anthony Sarr is just a million times better than expected. This was a weird NBA draft. There were a lot of players drafted that people have never heard of before. Anthony Sarr was a guy that his name was in contention to go number one overall. So he could have been the number one pick. He ended up going 2 to Washington. The way that team is structured, they're not going to be good next year. It seems like it's going to be the Anthony Sarr show and just kind of seeing what he can do. But hey, he can turn into a phenom, and if that's the case, shit, maybe they figure something out. But not likely to happen, but we'll see. And then the last one I have...
I didn't even read it till just now.
The last one I have is the NBA gets held hostage, and the only way to save the league is by having Washington win the NBA championship. So whether it's aliens, politicians in DC, ISIS, whoever it is, if the NBA gets held hostage, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna destroy the league if you don't have the Wizards win." That's what it's going to take for the Wizards to win a championship.
Fate of the universe on the line.
Washington
in the dead beam.
We need Anthony Sarr to win Finals MVP. But yeah, realistically, Washington just keep building, build around Sarr at this point, see what he becomes, and just move from there. Be patient. So that's really it.
You know what? I'm going to counter your points by saying, in Bilal Koulibaly, we trust.
Hey,
let's pray to
more
God.
trust than me.
You just got your first Olympic silver medal after France came up short in the gold medal game against Team USA. USA, by the way. So, Bilal Koulibaly, forget about this Anthony Sarr badness. Go be special and put a spotlight in Washington, D.C.
There you go.
Optimism.
God bless America.
Optimism right there. Gotta love it.
You got more than me.
On to the next team, which actually does give me a little bit more optimism, is the Utah Jazz, or, the Utah Azz, as I like to call them sometimes. But
the Utah Ass.
You know what? They re-signed Laurie, so the first point is about him finding a running mate for this brother. Because they gave him this ridiculous deal, right? Danny Ainge keeps the guy. They said they never really wanted to trade him and blah, 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 all this other nonsense. So, I mean, hey, I guess we can call him your franchise player now. That's who it is. He needs help.
Yep. If you're going to keep him there, you might as well help him out. So
yes, let's attempt to grow out some nice homegrown talent here. Love Keontae George, nice addition. So, from last year's draft. So that should be fun. And I'm going to change up point number 2, really just for the hell of it. Yeah, like patience, it could be said, but it's boring. So let's just say that for point number 2, the rest of the world has the same climate as Utah because it's cold as shit over there. And if everything could just be frozen over, if every NBA team has to deal with this on a yearly basis, maybe they get depressed enough to where the Utah Jazz can actually make the postseason. But hey, all jokes aside, they could be slightly competitive. It's a Western Conference team with a bunch of moving and shaking pieces. They aren't really too bad, but also not expecting much out of Utah. So in Laurie trust there, I'm Yeah, we're literally just pulling that here. We don't mean to be disrespectful to these bottom feeders.
We really don't, but we're just being honest too. So
Yeah, and we're forced to talk about them since it's like an off-season reflection period for what they've done in the
yeah,
off-season. And there's not a
yeah,
whole lot going on.
not a lot.
No.
No, not too much. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the last remaining team that we have to talk about. So let us know in the comments if you agree, disagree with some of the points we made. If we were too harsh on your team, we apologize, but we're probably telling the truth. So just go easy on us. But yeah, so if you go back the last two episodes too, we covered all 30 teams. We will be clipping off these individual teams and posting them here on YouTube, so you can check out if you just want to watch your favorite individual team or other ones and you don't want to watch the full episode. That's cool. We'll have those out for you in time. But yeah, I think that's all we got. Jerry, do you have anything you want to add before we head out here?
Yeah, two things. Number one, somebody please help Chauncey Billups out in Portland. I just thought about that, man. I'm sorry that you have to coach that situation right now. I hope things get better in Portland. Number two,
Pray for Chauncey.
it's football season, baby. You know that's
it is.
that's why you like your shirt on.
We don't have we're now after college football started, there's not going to be a single Saturday without football.
Nope.
Saturday, Sunday, Thursday night. We're going to have Friday night games, Monday night games. We're going to have some Tuesday night games. Woo! You better have those subscriptions ready, Peacock, Amazon, whatever, because they're all over the place. So.
Yeah. Hey, I got a lot of friends with a lot of different accounts, so we're all good there. You know,
that's beautiful.
I'm good though.
But yeah, good luck to everyone with their fantasy football drafts. If you participate, I am in five leagues. I have 3 drafts coming up over the next few days, so big weekend for me. But yeah, great time of the year. Great time of the year. Football's starting, basketball's right around the corner. Gotta love it.
Baseball season's ending. About to be World Series.
Baseball season is the World Series is coming up in a few months. So exciting time for sports. Exciting time. But yeah, that's all we got here. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching, tuning in. Thank you for your continued support. We couldn't have made it to episode 52 without you, without your support, whether it's for the podcast, the gamified videos, audio podcast, whatever it may be. We appreciate you guys a ton, your continued support, and we ask that you continue to support our channel, leaving a like on this video, subscribing to our channel, watching the gamified videos. Like I'd mentioned, putting in the comments, interacting, saying whatever the hell you want. You could talk about the points you made, any other basketball questions, whatever you want, throw it in the comments. Check us out on audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Give us a 5-star review, rating, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. You know the deal. So until episode 53, we'll be starting the countdown to 2 years of sitting courtside starting next week.
Hey!
We will see you then. Peace.